The late Indiana afternoon pressed down on Terre Haute with humid weight, air thick and languid, promising a storm that held off with frustrating reluctance. Detective Michael Miller, etched by quiet tragedies witnessed over the years, found himself reluctantly pulled from his air-conditioned sanctuary. The call had been terse, impersonal. A body discovered just outside town, off County Road 12. Routine, the dispatcher had said, a word that invariably set Miller's teeth on edge. In his experience, the most profound horrors often wore the guise of the mundane. Sheriff Brody stood beside his patrol car, his bulk seeming to absorb the day's humidity. Blue and red lights cast an unsettling glow across endless cornfields. The stalks, heavy with harvest promise, rustled in phantom breezes against profound silence. The air carried sweet, ripening corn, but beneath it, a sharper, metallic note pricked at Miller's senses, a subtle precursor to the grim reality awaiting him. Inside the trunk, contorted into a grotesque parody of sleep, lay a young man. His features, frozen in silent scream, were pale and waxy under harsh emergency lights. A single, surgically precise puncture wound marred his temple, stark and unsettling in the otherwise undisturbed tableau. No sign of struggle, no blood spatter, only an incongruous scattering of wildflowers across his chest, vibrant crimson clover and delicate Queen Anne's lace, their fragile beauty jarring against death's stark reality. Clean, Miller murmured, the word inadequate to capture the scene's wrongness. Too clean, almost posed. Initial shock gave way to gnawing fear that tightened its grip on Terre Haute with each passing day. A week after the County Road 12 discovery, another body surfaced near the muddy Wabash riverbanks. A college student known for her easy smile and hitchhiking habit had vanished without trace days before. Grim details echoed the first discovery with chilling familiarity. The single, precise wound, absence of struggle, unsettling serenity of the deceased, and the macabre floral offering. Delicate bluebells and forget-me-nots, their gentle hues cruelly mocking extinguished life. Then came Sarah, a waitress at the local diner, a friendly face known for quick wit and warm demeanor. She disappeared after her late shift, leaving only unanswered calls and growing dread among friends and family. Her body was found in a shallow ravine, hidden beneath fallen autumn leaves, goldenrod and vibrant asters her only shroud. Local news, initially hesitant, exploded with horrifying details. National media descended like vultures, cameras and microphones transforming the quiet town into a stage for morbid curiosity. They christened the killer the Hoosier Florist, a name conjuring idyllic landscapes stained by unspeakable horror. Fear, like creeping vine, began strangling community bonds. Detective Miller found himself consumed by investigation. Victims' faces, young, promising, now forever frozen, haunting his waking hours and invading restless sleep. The killing's precision, the lack of discernible motive beyond the act itself, reminded him of Bundy's cold efficiency. The almost theatrical body presentation, deliberate staging, evoked Gacy's unsettling duality, monster lurking beneath normalcy's veneer. Weeks bled into frustrating stalemate. Despite relentless efforts from Miller and his team, leads remained elusive, each promising avenue dissolving into dead ends. One sweltering afternoon, while reviewing old missing persons reports, Miller noticed a subtle thread connecting several victims. They had all at some point frequented a small, unassuming diner on town's outskirts, Art's Eats. The owner, Arthur Jenkins, a gaunt, quiet man in his late 50s with receding hairline and perpetually stooped posture, had been interviewed during initial investigation stages. He'd offered a brief, unremarkable alibi, always at the diner, and his demeanor was so unremarkable he'd been quickly dismissed as a potential suspect. Yet something about him lingered in Miller's memory recesses. During their brief exchange, their eyes had met for a fleeting instant, and in that connection, Miller glimpsed something unsettling. Profound stillness, a flicker of something unreadable. Driven by hunch, Miller decided to revisit Art's Eats. The doorbell jingled forlornly as he stepped inside. Arthur Jenkins stood behind the counter, movements slow and deliberate as he wiped the already clean surface. Familiar greasy aroma hung in air, but beneath it, Miller detected that faint, sweet undertone he'd begun associating with victims, a subtle, almost floral hint sending shivers down his spine. "Mr. Jenkins, I have a few more questions."
Detective, I told you everything I know.
Miller noticed a closed door at the diner's back. The sweet, cloying scent was stronger here, mingled with faint, almost antiseptic odor. He reached for the cold metal doorknob. The back room was cold, unnatural chill seeming to emanate from the walls themselves. Arranged with meticulous precision, speaking of deranged order, stood figures. Not mannequins, but preserved human bodies. Each posed deliberately, dressed in different clothing sets, vacant eyes staring blankly into dim light, reflecting nothing but eternal stillness's stark reality. Air was thick and heavy, saturated with embalming fluids' cloying sweetness, mingled with countless wildflowers' fading fragrance. The same varieties found at each crime scene, now brittle and wilting in this macabre indoor garden. In the room's center, illuminated by the single bulb's harsh glare, sat a makeshift operating table, a metal folding table draped with stained sheets. Upon it lay another figure, pale and lifeless, limbs arranged with the same unsettling care as the others. Beside it, gleaming ominously under stark light, lay surgical tools, scalpels, clamps, needles, each meticulously clean. Arthur Jenkins stood frozen in the doorway, gaunt face a mask of utter despair, earlier normalcy attempts completely shattered. His eyes, wide and haunted, finally met Miller's, and in their depths, Miller saw not madness but chillingly warped purpose.
They were lonely, no one saw them, no one appreciated them, I just wanted them to have glory.
Miller's mind reeled, disparate puzzle pieces finally locking into place with sickening finality. This wasn't just about killing, it was about possession, about desperate, twisted attempts to immortalize victims, creating permanent audience for their lost lives in his private macabre theater. Arthur Jenkins's garden revelation sent shockwaves rippling through Terre Haute, shattering its peaceful facade's last vestiges. National media descended with renewed fervor, broadcasts painting lurid pictures of the quiet town now synonymous with unimaginable horror. Hoosier Florist took on darker, more sinister connotation, no longer just an unknown killer's label but the chilling moniker of a monster who'd lived among them, unnoticed. Fear became tangible, clinging to humid air like a shroud. People who'd known Arthur Jenkins, diner regulars, occasional delivery drivers, quiet neighbors beside his unassuming house, were now subjected to intense scrutiny, memories dissected for any hint of darkness he'd carefully concealed. Art's Eat's back room became a sterile, heavily guarded crime scene, air thick with chemical smells and forensic experts' hushed tones. Each preserved body was carefully removed, cataloged, transported to the morgue for identification and examination. The process was slow, painstaking, each discovery a fresh grief wave for the community. One evening, while examining crime scene photographs, Miller noticed something he'd overlooked. Tucked away in the garden's corner, almost hidden amongst preserved figures, was a small, leather-bound journal. Its pages were yellowed, brittle, filled with spidery handwriting speaking of a mind teetering on the brink. The journal hinted at other victims, individuals who disappeared without trace in previous years. Names, dates, brief, chilling descriptions filled pages, suggesting terror reign that had gone undetected far too long. As Miller read further, cold dread washed over him. The horrifying realization dawned that Terre Haute might have unknowingly harbored darkness far deeper, more widespread than imaginable. The quiet man from behind the counter had unveiled a new, terrifying dimension of human depravity, and the Hoosier Florist's twisted glory pursuit would haunt Indiana's heartland for years to come. In the end, the whispers in the heartland would grow much louder, revealing darkness that had been silently blooming in Terre Haute's shadows far longer than anyone dared imagine. Arthur Jenkins's journal revealed a darkness far deeper than anyone imagined. Names and dates suggested disappearances stretching back years, and the investigation began to uncover patterns that pointed to a possible network of predators lurking in Terre Haute's shadows. The newly opened Churchill Downs Casino, with its bright lights and transient crowds, became a focus, its promise of escape masking a hunting ground for those who would not be missed. The town's underbelly, long plagued by methamphetamine, revealed a world of desperation and violence. Investigators searched a dilapidated motel, finding evidence that linked Jenkins to other missing persons. Crude drawings, scraps of clothing, and the same crimson clover found at the first crime scene. Forensic analysis uncovered even more disturbing truths: signs of crude butchery, altered bone fragments, and evidence of cannibalism reminiscent of Ed Gein's unspeakable acts. The horror in Terre Haute was no longer just about one man, but a festering wound that threatened to engulf the entire community. Detective Miller realized the mayhem was far from over. The cheerful lights of the casino now cast long, sinister shadows, and the whispers in the heartland carried the chilling undertones of unspeakable acts. Terre Haute, once peaceful, now teetered on the edge of a darkness that would haunt it for years to come.